Hey, welcome back to SWG's Woodworking channel. In this video today, I'm going to show you how I'm going to use this panel cutting jig that I built for the table saw. I'm going to show you how to line the board up, how the cut makes, and how it all works. So if you want to see how this panel jig works, stick around, stay tuned, and you'll see how all these pieces work. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're back at the table saw. Here is the piece I want to cut with the panel jig to show you how it works. Normally you could just set the fence up, slide it through with the fence, and cut it. But I'm trying to show you how the panel cutting jig works. And so you see there, the panel cutting jig is square to the saw blade. And so you slide your panel in, and I got a line on my piece there. And what you do is you make sure it's flat and square with your stop, your fence on your jig. There I had to make an adjustment. And then you line your line up with the edge of your panel cutting jig. And then, so I'm double checking everything. So then when you start your saw up and you make your cut, your panel cutting jig is square to the table saw, and so your piece is square to the table saw. And there, it cuts it and drops right off. Let the blade stop. The runner on this one's a little bit stiff for the saw. Maybe just a little bit snug, but it's all good. But that's the basics of how a panel cutting jig works. So if you had something with a piece that didn't have a square end, you use the jig. Thanks. Okay, we're on another example here. I got another panel I just need to cut down. And like I was saying, if you didn't have a piece that had a square in and you needed to cut it down and you couldn't run it along the fence, you take it over with your panel cutting jig. So I set my jig on the table saw. That's my piece already in the jig. Now I'm just lining up the line, make sure it's square with my fence on my jig. Starting my saw. Now I'm making the cut. Now it's a nice smooth cut. Turn the saw off. Let the blade come to a stop. Look for my tape measure because I don't know where to put it. But that's the whole idea behind the panel cutting jig is if you can't run it along the fence and make a cut, or you got to cross cut something, you need a square. And you have one side that's square, you can put it in your panel cutting jig and cut it along the table saw, and it makes a nice square even cut. And it's a really handy jig if you're cutting panels or bigger pieces or pieces with ends that don't have something you can run along the fence, or if it's a cross cut and you don't want to run along the fence. That's how you use a panel cutting jig. Pretty simple. Thanks for watching. See ya.